Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name is Sue and I'm from OML Embroidery, and today we're going to talk about our next project. In this video we're going to talk about Mylar Spring Bonus, which is a design set by Anita Good Design. And this video we're just going to go over the things that you need and what we're going to do for this project. Now Mylar Spring Bonus, they're bonus quilt blocks that go along with the full design, which is Mylar Spring. But I thought if we just do a little part of it, it's a great introduction to Mylar. And if you really like it, then you can purchase the rest of them. It's a really cute design set. So in this set, we get the sashing and we get all of these designs. So you'll be able to make a wall hanging or a table runner or anything like that. There's enough of them for that. So the first thing we need to talk about is Mylar. So let me put this aside. Mylar is kind of strange stuff. It's very shiny, and you can hear that it's crinkly and kind of fiddly to work with. Now, you can buy Mylar in sheets like this, all sorts of different colors. But if you just want to try Mylar, here is what you can do. This is a balloon that I purchased a couple years ago for Sam. It's an RN balloon, so it just says RN. And it was filled with helium, so it floats. And it is made out of Mylar. So I figure a lot of times I like to work with what I've got rather than running out and purchasing something. So I'm going to be using this. Now, the only downfall is I have only one color. But I think if you look how the threads look with it, I think we'll still get that sparkly effect. It'll be a good test. So let's talk about what we're going to do. I'm going to move my Mylar. And let's talk about what we're going to do. I'm going to leave that here. Remember, just once again, that you go to anitagooddesign.com and it's Mylar Spring Bonus. Don't forget the bonus part. So let's go over the steps for this project that we're going to be working on for a couple of weeks every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the OML Embroidery YouTube channel. So what you need for this is, it's a quilt block. So we're going to start off with whatever size hoop that you want to be using for this. And we need a little bit of no-show mesh. And this is my preference because I happen to have a lot of it, but you do not have to use it. It is cutaway. That's the important part. So use whatever cutaway you have in your stash. You can see this no-show mesh. Look, when I put it down, you can still see through. And it's nice and soft and thin, and it doesn't bulk it up. But any cutaway, the key is cutaway. And we also need batting. Now, this is warm and natural batting, but you can use any batting that you have on hand. I happen to have a lovely supply of pre-cut batting, so I really enjoy using it. Your first step is going to be you hoop the no-show mesh or whatever cutaway that you have in the hoop, and our first step is going to be a placement line. So this black line here, it's going to stitch it out, and we are going to place our batting over that line. The next step is it's going to stitch a tack down, and it normally does it twice so it holds it down. Then we're going to cut the batting. Now what this does at this step is it keeps the bulk out of the seam allowance. So that means when we're sewing the blocks together, there's not layers and layers of the batting which would make it really thick. It just makes the final look a little bit better. So we trim it out. Now the next step is to add our background fabric. Now Anita Good Design is using white, but you can use whatever colors that you want for it. So I have it out of order. So the next step is it's going to tack it down. Now this you don't cut. You don't want to cut this like we did with the batting, because this is our seam allowance. So make sure you leave a 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch. The next step, we have our background, we have our batting. We are going to start with the Mylar Applique. Now the little trick for this one is that it's not regular applique, it's Mylar applique. So we're going to do it, the steps for applique, in a little bit of a different order. So the first thing that's going to happen is the dotted lines here, it's going to stitch your placement. So you know where to place your Mylar. And then you're going to place the Mylar down. They have beautiful green Mylar on this one. And tape it down a little bit so it holds, and it's going to stitch that down just on the outside. Normally during applique, this is when we trim it. Mylar applique, we need to wait until the fill stitches are done. So that's the one thing you have to remember when we're doing Mylar applique. You have to wait to trim it until the stitches are all down. Once it's all filled in and it's just light stitches so you still can see the Mylar through it, then you carefully trim it out. So that's the main thing to remember with the Mylar. And look how beautiful it is. And then there's more Mylar pieces, and you're going to follow the same thing. It's going to do a placement. You put your Mylar down, and then it's going to tack it down and fill it in. Then you can trim it. And then you go ahead and stitch the other parts of the design. And when it's done, you take it out of the hoop, trim it down if you need to, and you have a sparkle and shine block. This rainbow one is particularly cute. I like it. So let me show you what designs are included with this mini kind of bonus pack. I really like this one, and I see a spot for my gold Mylar right there. This one is absolutely adorable with the birds. So Mylar leaves, Mylar birds, and Mylar mummy bird, and I think there's Mylar in the flowers. So lots of little pieces of Mylar in this one. I love this one. It's beautiful. You can really see the effect because the hot air balloon is so large. The rainbow one that we saw, this is the one that we are going to start with. So this will be to us block number 1. And look at this, that's beautiful. Little wishing well and more flowers with a birdhouse. I love it. A watering can and a pot, another gold kind of color, which is lovely. And at the end are the sashing. So the sashing goes in between the blocks if you want to. You do not have to add sashing to anything. This is a cornerstone block, so it goes in between the sashing. So it would be sashing, block, sashing. So this is really nice, and this is included in this, and it's available in every size corresponding to the size blocks that are offered. So you can get this to match your 8x8, the 7x7, or sorry, 5x7. It'll all fit together perfectly. So the last part of the PDF is the step-by-step instructions. So the first part of the instructions is the picture. The second part is the name. And then you see the sizes. MS B2 size A, which is the 7x7, 8x8 hoop, and it's going to tell you how many stitches are in it, and it does it for each size. So this particular design set goes from 5x7 hoops to 8x8 hoops, because I don't think you want huge Mylar embroidery. Now we start off, all these numbers are the steps. So if you follow along, what I like to do is grab a pen and cross out what you've gone through. So if you get interrupted, you know where you left off. That's just me. So squaring stitch we talked about, then place your batting. So once the squaring stitch is done, place your batting down. Tacking stitch, it's going to tack down your batting, and then trim batting, then place your base fabric. So you get everything that you need to do in order to make this block. So this number here, the step number 4, it says 850 white stippling. So 850 is the thread color number, and it's Floriani thread. And this is the color. So if you're not using Floriani, you can use white or whatever matches your background. And that is the stippling. So the first step in this block, this actual stitching step, is going to be the stippling. You don't have to stick to their colors. You can make it your own, and depending on what kind of Mylar you have. So the first block we're going to be doing is the owl, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun to do. I'm probably going to do the 5x7 size. Hopefully this helps everyone get started and know what they need and understand the pattern. We're going to start stitching Mr. Owl on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the OML Embroidery YouTube channel. So join me for the sew along. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!